Yes, my name is Ramesh Bharuthram. I've been given the privilege by African Sun Media to speak briefly on our book, From Hope to Action Through Knowledge. A little bit about myself. Retired at the end of 2014 after working in higher education in South Africa for approximately 50 years at 5 different institutions, from laboratory assistant to professor of physics, departmental chair, dean of faculty, director of research, and deputy vice-chancellor academic at 2 institutions. The final phase of my journey through academia was as deputy vice-chancellor at the University of the Western Cape from 2008 to 2014. And as best I could say, it was the highlight of my academic career. It was a period in which I was part of a remarkable turnaround in higher education in South Africa at a particular institution, University of the Western Cape, which is well known as UWC. In 2001, Vice-Chancellor Professor Brian O'Connell joined UWC as its Vice-Chancellor. And as he came in, he met an institution that was financially bankrupt, owing the banks in excess of 100 million South African rand. Its student population had dropped by a third, and its academic project was at the point of, or the brink of collapse. Such was the state of UWC at that point in time that a national review commissioned by Minister of Higher Education recommended that the university was not going to be able to stay on its own, and it had to be merged with a neighboring institution. Some described UWC as a basket institution. However, O'Connell, in accepting the post, had a different vision for the institution. Rather than accepting the proposal of some of his colleagues that we should march to Parliament in protest, he wrote a position paper on why it is important for UWC to be a standalone institution to contribute to South Africa's democratic reconstruction and development. Government listened, and UWC was left alone. But O'Connell was asked to give his master plan for the institution, and he did that. 13 years later, at the end of 2014, when Prof Brian O'Connell retired, UWC was a financially stable institution. Its student population had grown from less than 10,000 in 2001 to 22,000. Its academic enterprise was thriving to such an extent that in the Times Higher Education ranking of African universities in 2015, UWC was placed 5th in South Africa, 7th on the African continent. Our book, From Hope to Action Through Knowledge, narrates the journey of UWC, and we call it the Renaissance of the University of Western Cape, 2001 to 2014. The book is divided into 4 sections and is in a pyramid structure that resonates with the way academic universities operate. Section 1 is Section A is about transforming university executive management and culture. It starts with the vision of Brian O'Connell. Which is the founding document or the founding principle on which the university was going to move forward. It then moves on to 3 cycles of the institutional strategic planning, which is a key underpinning for the advancement of any university. The first phase from 2000 to 2004 was on stabilizing the institution. The second phase, 2005-2009, was to expand the academic project slowly and grow its research outputs. By 2009, the institution was moving forward and confidence was growing. The third phase of the strategic plan 2010 to 2014 was designed to deliberately move the university into a research-led university. The O'Connell vision was embraced by every member of the executive management team, and each one realigned their portfolios in accordance with the vision. The academic enterprise was reimagined. Student development and support was reconceptualized, placing the student at the center of the endeavors. The finances of the university were reorganized in terms of policies, procedures, accountability, and culture to transform the university into a financially stable university, and human resources in accordance with the O'Connell vision that we have to move together as a collective, each one of us buying the identity and taking the institution forward. Human resources realigned into a people-focused enterprise. The second section, Section B, speaks about how the different components of the academic project responded to the new vision, mission of the institution, focusing on teaching and learning, bringing it as a core activity along research of the institution, research and innovation. The agenda was redefined, and community engagement was realigned to be embedded into the academic project. The section ends with a deliberate decision by the institution to create a space for the rapid advancements in education and communication technologies. The Times Higher Education ranking of UWC did not surprise us, because as part of advancing the academic project, the institution made a deliberate decision at executive management level to create research niche areas across all 7 faculties of the university. This was to give the institution a unique research identity, but more so to inspire the emerging scholars across the 7 faculties that we have entities at UWC that are performing at the highest level, not only in the national space, but also in the international space. So Section C shares with you 15 niche areas across the university that allowed us to call ourselves and define ourselves as a research-led university across all 7 faculties. The final section D is the section on reflection, where the current Vice-Chancellor, Professor Pretorius, who left UWC as its Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academic in 2005, returned 10 years later, 2015, as its Vice-Chancellor, and on its return, made the statement, "This is a very different university from the one I left." Professor Pretorius gives a profound transformation of the institution from his perspective. And then Mr. Larry Pokpas and I, the 2 co-editors of the book, it was a pleasure editing this book with Larry, reflect, having worked closely with Professor O'Connell, reflect on the uniqueness of his visionary leadership, of a person with a steadfast belief that your past will not determine your future, and with passion and commitment that enabled him to move forward in a manner that he took the entire university community with him, embracing his vision. This book, we believe, will be useful reading not only for executive and senior managers at emerging and new universities across Africa, across the world, but also for existing well-established universities. Because it's a book that articulates a purpose attempt to reinvent an institution which happened to be successful. It will also be of interest to people outside academia, people in leadership positions in business, in industry, who want to reorganize or reinvent the institution. There'll be something in here that they will probably find useful. So for me, it is a great pleasure having to have worked on this book at the very tail end of my academic career. To the young, emerging scholars, not only in South Africa, across the world is your oyster. But getting those fruits are dependent on yourself. To succeed in academia requires hard work, commitment, and passion. If you look at the leading academics around you across the globe, you will look at their schedules and you will see that they work consistently, never failing, always ready to go the extra mile. And we do wish that some of you will find aspects of this book inspiring as you go forward in your careers. The very best to you. Thank you.